Hello, hello. This is Anna Imagination. We're going to talk about networking. This is another huge part of this triad. So, in business, you're going to have your dream of dreams. We're going to talk a lot about your dream of dreams. We are going to be talking about your network, and we're also going to be going over the metacognitive awareness for scarcity mindset. So, networking is the heart of your entire business. It is the thing that is going to breathe it to life. It is where money comes from. Now, this is where a lot of people get into business, and they go into business with this very focused, I need money mindset. And then they struggle, they don't make money. And there's a metric, there's basically a graph where time progresses while they do more work and they get poorer and poorer. And then it gets to a certain point where they run out of resource, you get resource depletion over time, and then their business crashes. They get worn out, they have no more resources, they have to go back and get a job. 95% of all businesses follow that pattern. So that is one of the things that I am addressing by coming in here and going, this is what's going on psychologically. When you first got into this course, you had an assignment number 1, and I gave you an article to read. That article is going to be the core of all of this. It is the logical order of operations of building your story. Business building is literally story number 1 or story number 2. Story number 1 comes first, but a lot of people don't deal with story 1, they go on to story 2. Story 2 doesn't last unless you have story 1. Remember when I said to you generations and dimensions, and you have a grandfather, a father, son? This is it. The concept of a business is the son. And if you don't have the grandfather and the father in order, you're not going to go anywhere. So this is why 95% of all businesses fail, is because you're focused on the son and you haven't bothered working on the grandfather or the father. This is why your grouping matters, and this is why your order of operations matters. This is story building 101. This is why we call it StoryWorks. It's because you are building a story. And if you don't have the origin and the foundation of your story built, then you're not going to have a spinal cord in which to build upon, and the whole thing is going to come down. That's how logic works. That is exactly how logic works. All of logic is the building of the foundation to sustain what it's holding. And if you do not do the work for the foundation, the whole thing comes down. So, in order to build your story and your business the way you need it to be so that it stays up and it's sustained, you've got to build in the right order. You've got to do the work on the foundation with the origin. You've got to build a proper spinal cord, and you've got to make sure that this part's working before you build the story. Now, this is really, really, really important. Money comes from people. People only bring money in when there is a trade of resources happening. We're going to be talking a lot about power economics, and I'm going to be showing you the current in which money flows through. But before we do that, we've got to get your focal point set. We've got to remove the scarcity mindset, because the scarcity mindset is the number 1 problem here. Scarcity mindset is story sickness. That's it. Story sickness and scarcity mindset creates consumption. Consumption is what makes us a consumer. So when you have consumption, you become a consumer. You don't want to be a consumer while you're building a business. You need to be a resource generator. Only resource generators are successful in business, not consumers. So you have to literally get rid of your consumerism, your consumption, before you become a resource generator in order to be a resource generator. We're going to be covering that in this course. Now, the other problem that we run into a lot is the fact that way too many people love to say, you've got a money problem. No, you don't. No, you don't. That is called placebo effect and mass hysteria. When you tell someone that they have a diagnosis that they don't have, they end up with a diagnosis that they don't have. That is the placebo effect. It is very powerful, really powerful. So there is no such thing as a money problem. You don't have one. What you most likely have is called resource partitioning. Google it. It's in biology. Resource partitioning is what causes scarcity mindset. It is not a money problem. It is a resource deficit problem. A resource deficit problem causes resource hoarding. Now, the mindset that comes with resource hoarding is the problem. 98% of people have resource hoarding and resource partitioning. It comes from a deficit of resources, specifically nourishment, truth, and freedom. So the more truth you have, the more freedom you have to get the nourishment. So we're going to start you off with truth. In order to do that, you're going to need math so you can purify your truth, which is why we just did the last lesson. Logic is the science of purifying your truth. So we're going to be doing that a lot. That way you get your nourishment. Now, you need to know the characteristics of scarcity mindset versus healthy, nourishing mindset. And that's exactly where we're going to want to get you is into nourishing mindset. When you are in nourishing mindset, the scarcity mindset is gone, completely gone. Now, this is taking care of the business owner. So once we get rid of this and we take care of this, we're going to straighten out your story. We're going to clean up your origin. We're going to give you the truth. We're going to teach you how to lie down your spinal cord with your story. That way you can have fluidity with your freedom. That way you can have a clean truth built off of pure truth so you can get your nourishment. Now, once that's in place, while we're building that, we're also going to be opening something called your giving circle. This is going to be a huge tool that you need for your business. This is really, 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 really important. This is like one of the most major things you need is a giving circle. So the giving circle is literally the lithium crystal and the warp drive of your business. The giving circle is built around your community and your network. So we're going to be teaching you how to do proper networking and community building with your giving circle. We're going to be linking that with your dream of dreams and your passion. But this is not going to work until and unless we shift you from the scarcity mindset of resource partitioning from resource deficits over to nourishing mindset. So this is going to be another part that we have to address and clean up basically. So this is really the machinations of business building and what's going into it. So we're going to be talking about the dream of dreams. We're going to be talking about how to network. This is why we have the Mermaid Cove. It's why we have the Panda group. It's why when I said and sent all this stuff out, come to the Facebook group, is because you're going to need that community building, the network, and the giving circle. And you're going to basically want to look for people who share the dream with you. Your dream is going to be the common denominator of all the people who come to you. So when you realize what your dream is, your dream of all dreams, that is your common denominator. Now, the dream of dreams is a vital part to the beating pulse of everything that this is. This is such a huge part of the operations of this. We're going to be doing a lot of talking about your dream of dreams and how to plug it in and get it in action. So in the meantime, that's what you need to know is the network, the community, the giving circle. Now, you're going to hear me talk about something called the Q line. and queue line networking. That is huge. And we're going to show you a different way to network. We're going to show you parts of networking that you're not even going to realize they even exist. So we're going to show you how to network, how to amp up networking, and we don't do the pitch party bullshit. I don't do that crap. And the reason why is because that is not networking. Because if you are pitching, you're not networking. That is not at all what networking is for. Networking is socializing. It is friendship making. It's playing with adults. And if you're not playing with each other, if you're not sitting down with your Barbies and trucks, then you're not playing. And that is something that really needs to, this is a huge part of human psychology, is when we make friends, we're networking. But if you're busy pitching your business, you're a salesman, crashing a party, and you're not making it fun. So networking is not at all pitching. That is not it. That is absolutely not it. That's not how you make friends. Okay. So we're actually going to be talking about friendship and how to build authentic, genuine social circles. Now, that's the more we're going to be covering that later. We also have Dream of Dreams, we have the origin, and then you have your business itself. Now, the business itself is the machine, it's the engine of the whole thing. And this is where a lot of people struggle. I'm going to tell you something that took me the longest time to learn, and it is the core of all business building. Your business is sold to other people when it's an idea. And this is where people don't get it. It is an idea. I don't know why people have such a hard time understanding this. I don't know why people have such a hard time wrapping their head around this. More importantly, I don't know why so few business owners actually use these words. You're going to come up with an idea. You're going to come up with a dream. Then your dream is going to be built and shaped into the idea. And then you're going to sell an idea. Your idea is what's going to make money. Your idea is what's going to take shape while it is still on paper. And that's what people don't realize is the business and the money flow happens as you turn your idea into reality. And that's where people get this all mixed up. They really get this mixed up. Your idea is what sells. You come up with the idea. You go to the bank with a pitch deck and some paper, and then they pay you for it. That's investing. So you just walked into a bank and sold your paper idea. Ideas are what sells. Ideas. So a lot of people sit back and go, well, I don't have money. Well, I don't have, dude, it's the idea that sells. If you got a brain and you've got a dream, you've got what it takes. But this is the part of business no one ever tells you. I don't know why. I really don't know. I had one person and I finally figured this out and I asked them for verification. I said, is all we're doing selling ideas? And they didn't answer me. And I thought that was weird. I'm like, why wouldn't he say it? It was like a faux pas of if you say it, it won't come true. Just don't let them know. And I'm like, all we're doing is selling ideas. And honestly, and I'm going to hypothesize on this. I believe that the reason why this is not talked about is because if this gets out, then everybody will want to do it and no one will be poor. I really think this is what this is. I can't explain it any other way. Ideas are what sells. So if you know how, and if you figure this out, you've got it. But it's like the taboo in the room that no one's ever talking about. So when you come out into the business world and you're building it, you got to think, oh my God, I got to have a brick and mortar store before I know. No, that's not correct. You are selling idea and dream. Idea and dream is what sells. And I'll tell you, this was the most warped backwards thing. And the more I got into this world and the more I pitched and the more I moved around it, I'm going, we're just selling ideas. We're all just selling ideas. Now, how good you are at describing your idea or your dream is going to determine what kind of a community you build. So that's what we're going to be talking to you about, is how to take it from dream to idea to community. And then your community works with you and builds it with you together into a dream, into a reality, into the materialization. Did you get that process? You dream it. You get the idea and the plans. You bring together the community in the plans, and then together you build the community. And then when you build the community together, that's when you have it manifested. Now watch this. After one person does this and trains everybody else how to do it, they then rinse, repeat, and do it over, and they build their community and teach them how to do it. And then they do the same thing. Because mimic, mirror, repetition, response with the subconscious mind, that's how we all learn. So once we understand that dreaming your dream, building an idea, using a giving circle and a community with strategic networking of cue lines to build a bigger, better, uber awesome idea, which we then come together, pool our resources and build a bigger, better dream. And then we start pairing off and branching off into, well, this is my dream. Okay, if that's your dream, those dream peoples go over there. Those dream peoples go over here. Those dream peoples go over there. Everyone's in their own corner building their own dreams. And then you've got to put together a team. So we're going to talk about how to put together your team. When you put together your team then starts bringing together a community. And your community comes together with your team and you build your dream. Oh yeah, it's a dream team, people. This is how it's done. Now, once you start doing that and you start generating all of this uber awesome excitement around your dream, your team, and your people in your community, that's when the money flows and your idea starts to take hold. Once your idea starts to seed and it starts to spread to the people start putting their resources into building the dream. Once they do that, you've got a business. That's where the money happens. The thing is, people don't understand this business model. It used to be this way all the time, everywhere. This is how it used to get done. We would start this with our 12, our 9-year-olds. We would have 9-year-olds who would understand this process, and from 9 to 15, they would be working on this entire process. And then it would be transferred over to the 15-year-old. And then the 15-year-old would take it to the next level. Generations. And now we're not doing that. We lost all of this. So now we're all sitting around going, how do we do it? And we've been trying to figure out from scratch. This is the formula. Now, when you add karma banking, when you add philanthropy to this, it becomes an extraordinary powerful tool that magnifies the whole thing. So there's a 3-part regulator in this. This is literally every organic system has a regulator. If it doesn't, it won't work right, which is why society doesn't work right. You need an input, you need an output, and you need a regulator. The regulator is key for this whole thing to work. So the input is your people coming in. Your output is the service you sell. The regulator is your philanthropy. The regulator is your nonprofit side. When you have that nonprofit, what that means is the nonprofit fuels the nonprofit and fuels the profit. The profit also fuels the nonprofit and the profit. So you have a nonprofit generating income and you have a for-profit generating income. So you have a profit for a profit for nonprofit and then nonprofit for nonprofit. When these two things combine, this becomes self-sustainable. When this becomes self-sustainable, it starts to generate and build its own community. When you get this powerful thing moving, oh, there's wealth. There is so much wealth. And the nonprofit is the common denominator that ties everybody together. So when you take your agenda, what it is you are passionate about, and you fuel it with your dream, that really brings in and attracts a lot of people. Because now it's, I'm passionate about X, and also this is what I'm into and how I want to help people. So now when they purchase your services, they're also knowing that they are helping a nonprofit. This is the best part. In psychological physics, this is referred to as agape. It is an ancient Greek word for giving love. That has healing powers. That has extraordinary psychological effects on the mind. It is a massive part of mental health and optimizing your mental wealth. You require the giving. It is mandatory for you to have a full, well-rounded, optimized mental wealth. So when you incorporate that inside of your business plan with that nonprofit, with that knowledge that this is the part that's going to be going toward this, and this is the part that goes for the profit side, people have the ability to say, oh, well, if I buy this book, I know it's going to go towards X. If I buy this service, I know it's going to go towards this mission. Have the option of them doing both. That way they can say, hey, I'm going to buy over here, knowing it's going to go into your pocket. Buy over here, you know it's going to go towards that nonprofit. So they get the benefit of X, knowing that it's also going to fuel the nonprofit. Meanwhile, the nonprofit is designed, and I'm going to be walking you through how to build a self-sustaining nonprofit as well that becomes and generates its own source. What ends up happening from there is that ends up producing its own supply. That way it takes care of itself and it develops a profit. That way it can continue taking care of itself with the staff. That then spreads in itself and it becomes very beneficial for all. This is a huge business model that's very, very beneficial. And when you partner them all together, it absolutely solidifies this gorgeous physics. It's literally psychological physics and power economics that makes the whole thing just balanced, smooth, and working efficiently. And that is all done with giving circles, community networks, hue lines, friendships, combined with your passion dream, and also the machine itself, the entire works. So we're going to be covering how all that's going to come together as well. And it all comes back to getting rid of your resource deficit scarcity mindset and adopting the nourishment mindset. In addition to the nourishment mindset, you're going to want to become a resource generator. So we're going to talk about resource generating and nourishment mindset and how those two things, when they come together, supercharge your gorgeous output input regulator with that nourishment mindset research generator. So when those two things come in, you are looking at a powerhouse. We're going to be going over the psychology, what that looks like, the steps involved, the story building that's involved with all of that as well. So this is all coming up. This is what we're going to be covering. Now, I have to say this. The information that comes out of my mouth is called nutritional knowledge. It is heavy. So a lot of people, when they hear me talk, their brain gets expanded and they go, oh my God, this is a lot. I need to process. This is called self-regulation. The information you get from me is not, it's science. It's science-packed. It is strategically designed to nourish your mind, and you have a resource deficit. So you have mental diabetes and you're getting nourishment for the first time. You're going to have a massive, massive amount of nourishment, energy charge. It's going to exhaust you very fast. It's going to overwhelm you very fast. You're going to have to pace yourself. This is why it's a DIY program. It's because you're going to have to pace yourself. Have a little nibble and then rest and digest. Have a little nibble, digest, and reset. I'm going to do a checklist so you can go through the checklist. That way you can check when everything is. What you need to be doing when you go through the checklist is checking yourself to see what your frequency is, how often, how frequent you come back to nibble. So what I need you to do, what you need to do is check your nibbling frequency, okay? Your nibbling frequency is how often you nibble and then how often you rest. Now, this mathematical data that I'm having you track for yourself is vital to your regulation. Self-regulation is the most crucial part of your entire optimized mental system. By understanding how you self-regulate and what your rhythm is with nibble frequency to rest ratio, I'm talking like a scientist again, aren't I? You're going to become very aware of what your frequency is. So the other thing is if you come in, you nibble, and then you have this prolonged rest, you can become consciously aware of, oh, I want to pick up my frequency. I want to tune in my frequency just a bit. Now, the other side of all of this is also going to be your Q&A. So you're going to want to make sure you do the Q&A. in the social. You're going to want to make sure that you do the nibbling frequency. That's going to be the metacognitive awareness with your theory. And then you're going to want to make sure that you rest. So when you have this rotation set out, it's going to put you in a position where you're going to become self-regulated. Now, as you do that, that's going to increase your nourishment, and that's going to supercharge your energy and get your energy flowing. Now, that is going to nourish you and build up your energy resource. And then you're going to be able to transfer the surplus of your energy from potential energy over into kinetic energy. We're going to talk a lot about this. If you know classic physics, this is going to go a long way to help you understand how to move energy. And I'm going to be teaching you the classic physics to do this and how to move it along. I'm going to give you some books. That way you can go through the books, as I'm going to recommend some books that you can grab to supplement all of this. But once you understand how to regulate your own nourishment, the scarcity mindset stops. So once you regulate your nourishment, scarcity mindset stops. And then you're going to need to know, oh, that's a categorization of scarcity mindset. Oh, that's nourished mindset. So you want nourished mindset. You want to know what those traits look like. And you're going to want to know what scarcity mindset looks like. There's a lot of scarcity mindset that people are going, oh, that's not healthy. No, that's scarcity mindset. So once you understand what scarcity mindset actually looks like, you'll be able to triage it and separate it from nourished mindset. And you'll be able to use that metric to determine how nourished you are or are not. Then you'll have a metric to use in which you can determine how far along you need to go before you become regulated. Once you are regulated, your nourishment will be at 100% and your scarcity will be at 0%. And then you will start building up your storage, and then you will hit your surplus, and then you will be able to transfer your surplus into action. When you start transferring your surplus energy into action, that is when you see that reciprocity come back into your storage. And then, this is it right here. This is the graph. You're going to have that storage build up, and then you're going to transfer it. And this is where you get that cycle. But where most people are right now is this is all the way depleted down here. This is why you have no energy. This is why you're poor. This is why you have scarcity mindset, is because your energy is all the way down here. So you need to build up your energy to the bare minimum of 0. This is your 0 center point of balance, bare minimum requirement. And then you build up a surplus when you're nourished, and then you trade only with a surplus. Now, as long as you have this circuit down, you're fine. This is where poverty stops, right here. That's where the scarcity mindset ends. So what you need to do is we need to start addressing it here to boost it up that way. Once that happens, oh yeah, you'll feel it. You will feel it, and that will balance you. It will regulate you. Once that's regulated, then you'll be able to, the whole thing will absolutely click into place. But a huge part of getting this started is literally teaching you the difference between scarcity mindset and that resource deficit in comparison to the resource generator, getting rid of that consumerism. We want to make sure you get over to resource generator. Okay, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. May the kindest of words always find you.